So volume basically is a space occupied by the object, that is refers to volume. So if you want to measure the volume of irregular solid and liquid, practically how we can measure? If I want to measure, example, a volume of a stone. Stone is not having a regular shape. So for this, we can use a measuring cylinder. How we use a measuring cylinder? A cylindrical tube, which is having the label, and it can measure in centimeter cube. Maximum it can measure 100 centimeter cube. So first we will fill the measuring cylinder with the liquid, and when water is there, we always read the lower meniscus, because there are two meniscus. One is called the upper meniscus and the other one is a lower meniscus. So first what we will do, we will record the volume of the water which we add. Like example, here the value or volume of the water was 10 centimeter cube. So fill the measuring cylinder with the liquid, specific amount of liquid first, and then you transfer the object into a measuring cylinder. So when you transfer this object to a measuring cylinder, what you will observe, the level of the liquid will change, because before that it was only liquid. Now as the object is added to this, as you add an object, so object volume is also there, that's why the level changes. And again you will look perpendicular to avoid a parallax error. So look perpendicular to the scale to avoid a parallax error, and read the lower meniscus and read the value. Like example, if the value here, when you place the stone, the value was 15 cm cube, example. So what is the volume of the stone here? If volume of the liquid used is 10, when you add a stone, the new volume is 15. What is the volume of the stone? What is the volume of this stone?
5.
It's 5 centimeter cube. Just take a difference. So if this volume is V1, the first volume, and the second volume is V2, so we will take a difference. It will be V2 minus V1. And that will give us the volume of the irregular object. Same way, if we want to measure the volume of the liquid, so directly we pour the liquid into a measuring cylinder and record the volume. So if I want to do an experiment, volume of irregular solid. So what we can do, the steps, number one, we will fill the measuring cylinder with water, record its volume, that is V1. Then add object, record the final volume, that is V2. To find the volume of object, it will be V2 minus V1. So this will give us the volume of the object or irregular object. This is when it is irregular object. Any doubt in this? You can take a screenshot. I will move to next slide. Then for a regular objects, how we can find the volume of regular objects? First it was irregular, but now if it is a regular, so if you are finding the volume of a regular solid, so what you can do, you can simply use a formula for that. Example, if it's a cube, then it will be length multiplied by width multiplied by height. You have to learn or memorize this formula. If it is a sphere, it is 4 by 3 pi r cube. And if it's a cylinder, it is pi r square h. I will give this example. If I say find the volume of cube with sides 4 meter, 8 meters, and 2 meter. So if you want to find the volume of this cube, so the simple formula is length multiplied by width multiplied by height. So it will be 4 multiplied by 2, 4 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 2. So 4 multiplied by 8, 32, 32 multiplied by 2, it will be 64. And because if length is given in meter, then the final answer will be in meter cube. This is how we will find the volume of the regular object by using a specific formula. When there's a cube, you will use length width multiplied by height. If the same question was there, volume of the sphere. If you have a sphere, and the question, if you have a sphere and the diameter of the sphere is given, diameter of the sphere was given 3 meters. And the question was find the volume of sphere. So how you'll find the volume of this sphere? The formula to calculate the volume of a sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So V, or the volume, is equals to 4 by 3 pi. Pi is having a fixed value. The value of the pi is 3.14. And r cube, or radius cube. So this is r raised to power 3. In this question, you have a diameter. So if diameter is 3, what will be the radius? Radius is half of the diameter. So diameter divided by 2, you will get the radius. So if diameter is 3 meter, then the radius will be 1.5, because half of the diameter is simply known as radius. And you'll substitute in the formula. So volume is equals to 4 multiplied by pi. Pi is 3.14 multiplied by radius. Radius is given in the question, it's 1.5 cube divided by 3. What is the answer? 4 multiplied by 3.14. 4 multiplied by 3.14 multiplied by 1.5 cube. This is 1.5 because the radius is 1.5 divided by 3. What is the answer?
14.13.
So 14.13. And what will be the unit? If length is given in meter, then the unit will be in meter cube. If length is given in centimeter, then the unit will be in centimeter cube. So this is how we use the formula to find volume of the sphere. Same way, if a question is calculate for a cylinder, So this is a cylinder. This is the height of the cylinder and radius of a cylinder. It can be, they can also give you a diameter. So same way you can find the radius. So example, if I say radius is 2 meters and height is 5 meters, find the volume of the cylinder. So how you'll find the volume of a cylinder? The formula is pi r square h. So pi multiplied by radius square multiplied by h. So pi is 3.14 multiplied by radius square. So radius is 2. That's 2 square, which is equals to 4, multiplied by height, which is 5. What is the final answer? 3.14 multiplied by 2 square multiplied by 5.
62.8.
So 62.8 meter cubes. So that's the volume of the cylinder. So you should memorize these formulas for cube, for a sphere and cylinder, and you should be able to find the volume of each depending on the question. If it's a cube or a sphere or it's a regular object, you will use this method or technique.
Sir?
Yes?
Sir, is it okay if I use the method of finding the volume of an irregular object?
Yeah,
Like, can I use that method to find the volume of this shapes as well?
Yeah, you can find the regular shape as well using the same method. But for example, it will not be as much as that accurate because you can measure the radius and height accurately as compared to measuring cylinder. Measuring cylinder is not an accurate instrument. Because how you'll measure the length or how you'll measure the diameter, you'll use a micrometer. So micrometer is more accurate in measuring the length. So overall calculation, when you use the formula, you will get more accurate result as compared to measuring cylinder. But it can be used even it's a regular object, you can just fill the measuring cylinder with liquid and add an object to the measuring cylinder and record the final volume and find the difference of the two volumes to know the volume of object.
And sir, I will use the screw gauge to find the radius of the sphere, correct?
Diameter. Because radius cannot be measured directly. Practically, radius cannot be measured directly. Diameter is measured directly. And diameter, using a diameter, you can find the radius. Because
I will get my diameter in millimeters. Like, do I have to convert?
Yeah, you will get in millimeter. You can convert into meters.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And all should be in the same unit. Like example, if I say, if this question I was saying, like if radius was 2 centimeter and height is 5 meter, then I cannot substitute in the formula. I should have both in the same unit. If radius is in centimeter, height should be in centimeter. If radius is in meter, height should also be in meters. Same units. Is it clear to everyone? How to find the volume of a regular object? Any doubt in this? You can use a chat to convey like you understand or anything, if any doubt you have. If you can use your microphone mic also, or you can also use a chat to just convey that you don't have any doubt, because your response will decide like you're understanding a topic or you're finding it easy or difficult. This is a cylinder. This is the height of the cylinder, and distance from center to the edge, the surface, that's called radius. So if I say a cylinder is having a height of 5 meter and radius 2 meter, what is the volume of this cylinder? So the formula is pi r square h. So you will use this formula pi r square h, where pi is equals to 3.14. Pi is having a fixed volume, fixed value, multiplied by radius square. So radius is 2. So 2 square multiplied by height, which is 5. So just you will use your calculator and find the answer. I think it was 63.8 meter cube.
Sir,
Yes.
he will give the radius and the question if he will give a radius.
Yeah, definitely the things will be given to you, and you have to use those to find, like radius will be given or diameter will be given. Values will be given to you. You just have to find the volume. So the thing is, you have to memorize the formula and then apply the formula to get the final value.
Okay, Mr. Okay.
This was just a method I just explained to you how we can use. Now the term time period. So the term time period, before time period, you should understand the concept of vibration. So vibration means to and fro motion of an object. When object will move from one side to another and return back to the same starting point, we call that as vibration. Like an object is there at position A, move to position B. So object started from position A, moved to position B, and from position B it moved to position C, and then it returned back from C to B and then again A. So moving, going and coming back, this is called one vibration. This is known as one vibration. Why we call, so the term vibration refers to and fro motion of an object. The object will go and return back to the same starting point. We simply call that as one vibration. So what is the time period? Basically, time period, it is a time to complete one vibration. So how much time the object will take to complete its one vibration? In this example, the time period means, like example, if I say from moving from A to B, object took 4 seconds. Moving from B to C, the object took 3 seconds. And returning back, the object took 6 seconds. What is the time period? What is the time period here? Time period means time to complete one vibration, return back to the same starting point. So what is the time period in this example?
16 seconds. 16.
16 or 13?
13 seconds.
13 seconds, because moving from A to B and then B to C. Yeah, this is, the time period is 13 seconds. So basic idea of a time period is a time to complete one vibration. We call that as time period. Which instrument, which apparatus is required to measure the time period? Without that apparatus, you cannot measure the time period.
Stopwatch.
So you need a stopwatch. Without a stopwatch, you cannot measure the time period. So if I want to find the time period of, so is it clear the concept of time period? Time period means time to complete one vibration, and it can be vibration horizontally or vertically. Example, if I say I have a spring and a mass is attached to this spring. This spring is a mass is attached to the spring. First, this one is, I stretch this spring. Till point A. Then I release. When I release, what I observe, this will go up to point B and return back to A. So going up and returning back to A, what we call this? This we call one vibration, and how much time it will take to go from A to B and return back from B to A, that time, that is known as the time period. So vibration means going and coming back is known as one vibration, and time to complete one vibration is simply known as time period. So example, when I release, it took 4 seconds to go up and it took 3 seconds to return. What is the time period in this example?
7.
So the time period, time to complete one vibration is 7 seconds. So we can find a time period for different object. First thing, how to find a time period of pendulum. So what is a pendulum? The term pendulum means if a mass attached to a string or a wire or a thread and vibrate, known as pendulum. So any mass which is attached to a string or a wire or a thread, and it will vibrate, move to and fro, what we call that as pendulum. So there are many examples. Like example, if I say I have a string which is fixed from one end and I attach a sphere at the bottom, and this was vibrating to and fro, moving from one place to another. So when this object will vibrate to and fro, what I will call that as pendulum. So the term pendulum is used for a mass which is attached to a string or a wire or a thread and it will vibrate. We simply call that as a pendulum. Yes, Abdur Rahman?
Sir, I didn't understand the pendulum.
Pendulum is the thing, anything which will vibrate, which is attached, like any mass. It's not necessarily a spherical thing. If you have a string or a wire, okay, and with this wire you attach an object, you attach any object, anything, and you make it vibrate, like you move it to and fro. So if any mass which is attached to a string or a wire and it is vibrating, what we call this system, we call this as pendulum. So in physics, the term pendulum is used for vibrating objects basically, or a system which is vibrating is called a pendulum. And simplified pendulum means in which you have a wire and you attach an object and the object is vibrating to and fro. So same way, like example, if I have an object and I attach with a spring, and it is moving up and down, is this a pendulum? Yes or no?
Yes.
To be a pendulum, it should be attached with a string, not a spring, a string, wire or thread, straight. This is vibrating, but this is not a pendulum. The term pendulum is refers to, you have an object, you attach with a string or a wire, and that object is vibrating to and fro. So this is not a pendulum, this is a vibrating object, but not refers to pendulum. This is refers to pendulum. Is it clear? So basically a simple thing, an object which is attached with a wire or a string and vibrating, we call that object as a pendulum. So for a pendulum, is it clear the concept of pendulum? So for a pendulum, what we define certain things. Example, you attach a pendulum with this one end which is fixed or a rigid support. When we say it's a rigid support, means it cannot change its shape, size or length. You attach a wire with an object. The object example, if it's a metal ball, the name of this metal ball is also known as bob. This is a name which is used for this metal ball. You can also say a bob. It's a simple name which is used for this. And the distance from the point where you attach the string to the center of the bob. The distance from the point where you attach the string or a wire to the center of the bob, that is known as length of the pendulum. So what happened? And a mass which is attached with a string, and you measure the length from a point where you attach a string to the center of the object or center of the bob, you call that as length of the pendulum. And how you can measure the length of a pendulum? So how you can measure the length of the pendulum? So the practical technique, you will place the ruler next to pendulum. Use set square and avoid parallax error. What is the set square? Set square, you will find the set square in your geometry box, the triangles which you will find very common in a geometry box or geometry case. These triangles are known as set square. So how I can use set square to measure the length of this pendulum? So first I will place the ruler next to this. So I'll place the ruler next to this, and then I will place a set square to identify the center. Because the ruler should not touch, the scale should not touch this pendulum, otherwise it will not be accurate. So what will happen, we will place the ruler next to this, should not touch this, but next to this, and then a set square, a triangle. This is a set square. So you can identify the actual position of the center of the bob. Accurately you can locate. That's why for a reference you are using a set square. Is it clear how to measure the length of a pendulum? So place a ruler next to the pendulum, use a set square and avoid a parallax error. Any doubt in this?
How do we use the set square?
So set square normally are used as an aid to avoid a parallax error. Basically, what happened, like example, if I want to measure the length of this pendulum, the ruler exactly, I cannot place the ruler next to this. So there should be a gap between the ruler. The ruler should not touch this pendulum. So there should be a gap between the ruler and the pendulum. But if there is a gap, and if I'm looking from here, it will not be accurate. Why it won't be accurate? Because what happened in this case, I think that the center or the length of a pendulum is 30 centimeter, but maybe it's more than 30 or less than 30. So to avoid that, what we will use a set square like a triangle which is there in a geometry box. So you place that set square or a triangle next to this. To locate where is the actual center of the bob. So by this way you can identify that this is a region where the center is there, so you will have a more accurate reading. Without set square you can also read the scale, but set square are mainly used to avoid a parallax error, so that you can have a clear identification that where is the center. Is it clear now?
Sir,
Yes.
Yes.
I should measure to the center of the metal ball.
Yes, center of the metal ball, because the distance of a length of a pendulum means the distance, like the center of the metal ball or the sphere or the bob should be in line with the corner, the edge of a set square. So if you want to measure, like example, if we cannot touch the object directly, we normally use for an aid, for an assistance, we use set squares. So what happened after measuring a length of a pendulum? If the question is write an experiment to find the time period, but for pendulum, there are certain terms which we define. When the pendulum is not vibrating, that position of a pendulum is known as mean position. So when the pendulum is not vibrating, the center position of the pendulum is called a mean position. So this position A is known as the mean position. But pendulum cannot vibrate its own. You have to cause, or you have to make the pendulum vibrate. Like from its mean position, it cannot vibrate. So what you will do, you will move the pendulum either towards right or left. Like for example, if I move it towards left, so I move the pendulum to position C. The final position, the last position till which or where we move the pendulum, that position is called extreme position. So if we want the pendulum to vibrate, we will release the pendulum from its extreme position. So I should always, extreme means the final. So what we will do, a pendulum cannot vibrate at its mean position when it is at mean position. So you have to move the pendulum to its extreme position, either A or B, and then you will release. So the moment you release the pendulum, it will move from B to A and then to C, and then it will return back from C to A and then from A to B. So moving from B to C and returning from C to B, what we call this as one vibration. And time it will take to complete its one vibration, what we call that as a time period or period of the pendulum. So basically what happened, first we measure the length of a pendulum so that we will know what is the length of this pendulum, and then we move the object or move the pendulum to its extreme position, either on the right hand side or left hand side, it does not make difference. And then we'll release the pendulum from its extreme position. When we release the pendulum from its extreme position, so it will first move to mean position, then to other side extreme position, and then it will return back. So moving to one extreme to another and coming back to the same starting position, what we call that as one complete vibration. So how we can measure this vibration? We can start when we release the pendulum, we will start the timer. The time it will take for move, even it's vertical or horizontal does not, it's the same idea for a vibration, but pendulum, you will find only horizontal movement, not about vertical. So moving from B to A and then A to C and coming back from C to B, we call this as one vibration. And how much time the pendulum will take to complete its one vibration, we call that as a time period. But normally, it's difficult to measure time for one vibration because that's too small. Maybe
your voice is lagging.
My voice is lagging. Okay, less than a minute left, so I will share another link and re-explain the idea of pendulum.
Mister, I have a class right after this.
Just I'm about to finish.
Okay.
Just I've been explaining completing a topic of pendulum and then I'll finish it.